The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. My name is Jeff Gibby. I'm going to be just here answering questions if you need them and that kind of stuff. We'll be starting today's presentation in just about 9 minutes. So we look forward to seeing you in just a few minutes. In the meantime, it might be a little bit quiet, but say hi. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll be getting underway, like I said, in just about 9 minutes. Thanks.
Hi, Colin. Just so you know, we are currently broadcasting on YouTube, but we don't have to get started for about 5 minutes here.
It would be nice though, Colin, if we could get a little bit of a shout out from you so we can make sure that the audio is working well. So hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Once you get a second, just go ahead and kind of turn on your microphone and we'll just make sure that we can hear you.
Is that better, Jeff?
Yeah, I can hear you great, Colin. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, good.
All right, good.
Trying to use a new pair of headphones. Ah, there we go. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, I can hear you great.
Oh,
It sounds great.
great. I can
Just
hear
for
you as
everybody that's
well. Good.
listening, our official start time is 2:30 our time, 4:30 Eastern, which means we'll get underway in about 5 minutes. So, Colin, hope you're ready.
Yeah. Sure,
And
Jeff.
it's good to have you in here.
Great. Good to be here. Thanks.
All right, good evening, everyone. I wanted to thank everyone for joining us today. Today we have a special presentation with one of our great partners here, Colin Abrams, and he's going to be, covering the market and going over how you can find clean and simple entries on any time frames. And he's going to show you some ways to do that too, utilizing our Metastock platform as well. Before we jump too far into things today and I pass the baton over to Colin, I do have to go through our disclaimer. So this demonstration, it's designed to instruct you on using Metastock and the accompanying software plugins, and is not a recommendation to buy or sell, but rather guidelines to interpreting and using the specific indicators and features within the software. The information, software, and techniques presented today should only be used by investors who are aware of the risk inherent in trading. Metastock shall have no liability for any investment decisions based on the use of the software, any trading strategies, or information provided in connection with the company. So for most of today, Colin, I think I'm actually gonna just pass it over to you, and maybe towards the end here, I can go over, a little bit in Metastock if you haven't shown that, but really, I think I'm gonna leave things to you for the better part of the session. And I'm gonna go ahead and make you the presenter right now.
Okay, thanks a lot, Bobby. Okay, welcome everybody. And I'd like to show the screen. Bobby, if you can just give me an idea there, just I'm a bit rusty on GoToWebinar to show my screen.
Yeah, so there should be
you showing.
Oh, I actually had to click one more button here.
It's okay. Okay, can you see it now? Should be a chart of the Nasdaq. Can you see that?
Yes, I do see that.
Okay, great. All right, well, look, let's kick it off, everybody, and welcome. So as you saw there, that I have developed an add-on for Metastock called the Paragon Toolkit. And I thought what I would do is just run through some of the scans with you tonight. It's pretty much unprepared from my side, and we'll go through the scans as I run through them. The interesting thing about today is that it's the last day of the month, and that's very good in that it allows one to take a look at what the monthly charts have done, the monthly closing price for June. And very often I found that people tend to overlook the monthly charts, and I find them incredibly useful. In fact, monthly might even be my favorite time frame, even if I'm doing short-term trading. There's a lot of information that can be gleaned from the monthly chart, and a lot of people just don't know to look at it or how to look at it properly, and there's just so much information on it. So it's actually very nice that it is the last day of the month. The US market has just closed, so we can get complete monthly candles for the US markets and pretty much all other markets as well. So I think what I'll start off by doing is just running through some of the scans in the Paragon Toolkit with you as I would do it, looking for trades. And really, as you can see by the title of the webinar, I'm really looking for simple and clean entries. That's all we want. I've been in this business for 30 years, probably even a bit more, but I'm not really counting the first few years when I was really cutting my teeth and trying to work out what to do. And I clearly had no clue what I was doing, as is the case with most people in this business when they start out. But, in the 30 odd years that I've been in this, I keep coming back to the same realization, and that is that keep it simple. It's the simple approaches that work best. And I've seen approaches by physicists and astrophysicists and neurophysicists and people that work for NASA, et cetera, very complicated stuff. And it's pretty good, I must say. But, what I've found is that the simple approaches work just as well, if not better. And I prove it to myself day in and day out, month in and month out, year in and year out. The simple approaches are what work best. And that's what I've really done in this Paragon Toolkit. I've taken a number of my favorite simple tools, put them together to give you a number of different approaches to scan and identify trades based on really simple, clean entries. And I'll run through some of those scans with you now. But as I mentioned, being that it's the end of the month, so we can run some scans on the monthly charts to see what comes out. So again, I'm doing this with you, straight off the bat. And this is a learning session for me in terms of seeing which instruments come up in the scans. I'll just maybe take a look at the Nasdaq here. This is the Nasdaq 100 index. Clearly, obvious downtrend in a bear market. You'll notice that we've reached the minimum target from the sideways channel consolidation. You take the height projected down, and it reached that target about a week or so ago. Sold off the last few days, closed off its low today, but also off its high. So a little bit uncertain. Of course, there is the month-end window dressing that one gets at the end of every month, and there is a public holiday on Monday in the US. So perhaps I think from next week we're going to see some fireworks from Tuesday, either to the downside or maybe continuing this upside move over here. But what it helps to do is to look at the higher time frames. So let me maybe switch over to a monthly chart here, and let's just see how it closed for the month. I'm just trying to move the window out the way here. This window is just in my way on the right hand side of my screen. Okay, so let me just take off those lines there as well. You can see, big red candles all the way down. The fact that we took out that bottoming tail low over there is not a good sign either for the market. But 1 second. Yeah, I'm just trying to move this go to webinar icon out the way. You'll notice the monthly stochastic is oversold. The last time it was that oversold was pretty much here at the 2009 lows. There as well, 2010, but really the last time was that oversold. So we've got a bear market, and as I'm sure you know, every bear market is followed by a raging bull market, and this one will be no different. The only question is, when will it bottom exactly? Markets tend to, or major lows tend to not occur in July. So, if one follows the typical seasonal pattern, we'll probably be looking for an end of this bear market around about September, October, with at least a decent rally in between. But this is the monthly chart for the Nasdaq over here. What I want to just quickly show you before we look at some of those scans is how Bitcoin was tipping one off to what's happening in the short term. I'll show you the chart of Bitcoin. You'll notice that, well, it has dropped dramatically, as we all know. It's been moving sideways over the last 2 weeks or so, which is very interesting because it just couldn't rally. It's almost like it bounced up and hit a brick wall over here, just wasn't able to go beyond that. And that is significant because Bitcoin and the US stock market are very closely correlated. If one looks at the Nasdaq in particular, the Bitcoin, of course, is ultimately a play on computing power. That's really what it is, on the power of computing going into the future. And that's why it is closely correlated to the Nasdaq. So while over the last week and a bit, apart from the last few days, we've had the US markets rally, see the Nasdaq rallying over there, Bitcoin was just not able to rally. Let's put on that chart, moving sideways, and that was telling you there's something wrong and the US markets are going to head down again. And that's what we've had the last few days. The reason why Bitcoin wasn't indicating the US would move up is because Bitcoin tends to lead the Nasdaq. So the fact that Bitcoin was going sideways while the Nasdaq was rallying was telling you we were going to get a sell-off in the US market, and that's what we've had over the last 4 sessions. May well continue next week. Let's wait and see. But just a little interesting side note there on Bitcoin, how it can often tip one off to what's happening or what's going to happen on the US stock market. Okay, so what I want to do is run a few scans on the Paragon Toolkit. And by the way, if you do have any questions, feel free to pop them into the chat window there, and I'll try and answer them. So the Paragon does have 6 different scans. It's also got 6 different expert advisors, systems, templates. I think Bobby will go through that at the end. But really, I've put together some really, really simple techniques here that really work incredibly well. As I mentioned, simple is what works best when it comes to the market. Really, what I tell people is, if you have a grade 8 degree, high school grade 8 degree, you should be able to make money using simple methods. You don't even need to go to university or even have a grade 12. To be honest, it's really the simple approaches that work best. And that's one of the big paradoxes about the market. Making money from trading is one of the hardest ways of making a living, certainly in the first good few years. But generally speaking, it's one of the hardest ways of making a living, and that's because it requires going against human nature. That's a whole another topic in itself. But one of the great paradoxes is that it's the very, very simple approaches which work best in what is arguably the most difficult way of making money, being the market. So that's just a great paradox. You think that because it's difficult, one would need PhDs in science and mathematics to try and crack the code, but it's not that at all. One can just put all that heavy mathematical stuff to the side and use simple approaches, and it'll work just as well, if not better. In fact, in my experience, better than complicated approaches. So let's just look at some of the Paragon scans. I'm going to actually just run a scan. There's six explorations here. The first one is just the Dow Theory signal. Dow Theory is basically just what I'm looking for is just higher highs and higher lows for a buy signal, or lower highs and lower lows for a sell signal. Just a basic market structure type of entry. Key reversal bar that would apply to a bar chart, and then Paragon MA205 entry system. It's a basic moving average system, which I find works incredibly well. Really one of my favorite scans that I use all the time. Then I have something called the trend finder, and then I've got here a scan where I combine the trend finder with the Dow Theory signal. Also works very nicely. I'm looking for a nice, well-established trend, and then looking for Dow Theory signals in that trend. And then I have the weekly buy setup, which, although it works on all time frames, I prefer using it on a weekly chart. So what I'm going to do is just run through these scans here, and we'll take a look and see what comes up. So I thought, because it is the end of the month, let's run it on the monthly first. We can run it on any time frame, really, from yearly or whatever, going all the way down to a 1 minute chart. And because these scans are based on timeless principles, so they tend to work well on all time frames. Just before I do that, there's just something that I wanted to mention, and that is that, what I found over the years is that, the really big money is made on the big trends, and that's a well-known idea in market circles. You read Jesse Livermore's book, Reminiscences of a Stock Operator, and all these classics that have been, the old timers that have been around wrote about 100 years plus. These guys will tell you, they'll all tell you that the big money is made on the big swings. So, at a certain point in my trading career, I asked myself, why am I not catching this whole swing over here? This is a monthly chart of Amazon. I'd be trading short term in and out, taking trades on various shorter term time frames. But then I'd stand back, and it dawned on me after a few years, wouldn't I have been much better off if I would have just caught this whole trend, or 80% of this trend? I mean, don't forget, Amazon here was at about, if I just draw a basic breakout over there somewhere, that is at $5. And this is a logarithmic chart, a percentage-based scale chart. Here it came up to, this of course is post the Nasdaq 22, the Amazon 20-for-1 split. So it was trading at $5 in 2009. Now it went up to a high of $182. And this, of course, is all based on the recent split. So the point is, I've had short-term trades along the way here, but I think I would have been much better off if I would have just caught the bulk of this move and held it. So the question is, what I was trying to grapple with is, why am I not doing that? Or why was I not doing that? And the conclusion I came to is that the only way, in my opinion, to catch this massive kind of move is to look at the higher time frame charts, the monthly chart and maybe even the weekly chart. This is a monthly chart. And then, if one looks at the monthly chart, you really don't need to look at it more than once a month, and then just leave it to do its own thing. Of course, one has to time one's entry correctly. That's an absolute given. But the only way one's going to catch this kind of move is by looking at it on a monthly or a weekly chart. Because what I found is, if one's looking at it on the daily chart, one's going to get spooked out on the corrections that occur along the way. And of course, there always are these corrections. But if one's looking at that on the daily chart, it's going to look like a horrendous correction, which it is on the daily chart here as well. And of course, what we see now, which is the first bear market since, proper bear market since 2008. So, if one looks at it on a monthly chart, then one at least stands a chance of catching the majority of this move and not be spooked out by the short-term corrections against one. And that's one of the reasons why I really love the monthly chart. I use it as well as short-term trading. It's not really an either-or thing. One can do both. One can have core positions on the higher time frames and then use the daily chart, or even shorter than that for getting short-term trades. So just as an introduction to the monthly time frame, I just wanted to mention this on Amazon. Okay, so let's look at the scan here. I'm going to scan for 5 of these explorations. The trend finder I won't do, just because I'm going to combine it with the Dow Theory in this scan. I'm going to do it on a monthly chart. Of course, one could do it on any time frame or choose your own custom time frame. And the instruments I'm going to run it on are the main currencies, the main US ETFs, and some of the main overseas instruments, which are mostly the indices, main stock indices. And then I'm going to run it on the Nasdaq 100 shares and the S&P 500 shares. So that gives me a database here of about 600 or 700 instruments. Okay, so let's just run it and see what comes up. So I'm basically doing this with you. There's 607 different instruments. It goes through each of these scans one by one, and we'll see what comes up. So because there are 5 different scans here, 600 instruments, it's going to go through each one one by one. It's going to take a bit of time. It's not going to take more than about 2 or 3 minutes in total to do all of them. And then we'll go through them together and see what comes up. Again, just to repeat, I'm doing this on a monthly chart purely because it happens to be the last day of the month. The market is closed, and we've got complete monthly candles. In the meantime, if you've got any questions, feel free to ask them, and we'll take it from there. I'll try and answer them as best I can. So the first scan is coming to an end. That's the Dow Theory line signal line chart. So here I've got the buy and sells. Let's just click on the buy column. So anything that has a 1 means it's met the condition. Anything with a 0 means it hasn't. Right, so these instruments here have met the condition. Again, so this is looking for the Dow Theory signals on a monthly chart. So let's just look at some of these while we're here. Let's look at this one, Brown-Forman. Not familiar with what company that is. It's obviously an S&P 500 company. You'll notice here that I've got one of the advisors on here already. And of course, one can set Metastock to open it with whichever template or whichever scan you want. This one, I think, is the, let's just take a look at that quickly. This is the trend finder and Dow Theory combined. So the trend finder labels an uptrend in blue, and it gives you the buy signals based on Dow Theory. Okay, now it's been set to not go further back than this. I think maybe so as not to slow down the scan, but here we've got some really nice signals based on the monthly chart. Let me just see if I make this align. And again, I'm just going through this with you now, and this is also for my benefit, as I mentioned, because I want to know what stocks have met the requirements for the month end of June. So we can see here that we've got a Dow Theory buy signal. I'll just take off this moving average. And again, we're looking for a higher high, a higher low, and a higher high. So there's our higher low, and here's our higher high. I'll put this on a candlestick chart. That's what it looks like. The program will label it for you when it gives you that signal. But it's just really a nice, simple scan, higher low, higher high. And I like doing it on a line chart because it's just simple and clean and neat. And you can see it's close above that point to give you the higher high. So it's almost like an A, B, C, D pattern, a kind of a zigzag, lightning bolt type pattern, close above there. So this is a buy signal on the monthly chart. What you could do as well, if you want to get fancy, so to speak, is once you've got a signal on a monthly chart, go down to a weekly or a daily chart, and then look for some entry signals on those lower time frames, knowing that you've got a big buy signal on the higher time frame. So these are the ones that have met it: Centene, Dollar General, Canadian dollar, Canadian US, Canadian Japanese, Swiss Japanese, etc. The GBP JPY I see has come up. Let me just open that one. It's one of my favorite currencies to trade. It's basically very much a trader's currency, the GBP JPY, because it tends to move quite a lot. But again, all these things are great if they're trending on a higher time frame, or on whatever time frame they're trending. They're great. So this has come up on the Dow Theory signal. Let me just put it on a line chart. Let's see what it looks like. So here you can see we have it. It's a higher low and a higher high. As soon as it takes out that high there, we've got a higher high as well. Let's just take some of these off. And so we've got a new buy signal here for this month, the coming month, on GBP JPY. Of course, our first signal earlier, in fact, this was in 2020, was over there, higher low and higher high. So now this scan will find them for you and works particularly well on the higher time frames. Here was one as well, and we just had another one over there. So GBP JPY, and that's quite nice from a short-term trading perspective, because, as I mentioned, it's a great trading instrument as well, this GBP JPY. So now you can go to the lower time frames. This is a weekly chart. You can maybe go to a daily chart and look for trades on the daily chart as well, either based on Dow Theory or whatever other method you want to use, or any of the 5 or 6 scans that I've got here. You could use something as simple as a basic trend line and say, this is now a daily chart. If it closes above there, that's my entry. Just don't forget there is some resistance over here. So if you are taking a short-term trade, probably going to find resistance in this approximate area over there. So that's just a nice way of using it on the monthly chart. Okay, I think, let's see on the sell side. Let me click on the sell tab. You'll notice that there are a lot of ones over there, lots and lots of ones. And that means that all these instruments here have given monthly sell signals on the Dow Theory chart. So, I don't know, let's look at the top one, 3M. So you can see the lower high there and the lower low. I probably wouldn't be shorting this, because firstly, it's very extended to the downside. You can see the stochastic here is oversold, also giving you a bullish divergence, but it's also hit this 200-month moving average. So, the time to have been shorting this, if you were going to, would have been one of the higher signals here, lower high, lower low, that kind of signal. But so what one has to do is you just go through each one by one, look for the best candidates. One does have to use a bit of common sense. If it's really extended to the downside, the odds of making money on a short are much less. Here's a lower high, lower low. There's a potential short there. Just keep in mind the monthly stochastic here is oversold. So that's not an ideal condition for shorting or for getting out of a long either. But either way, on the monthly scans, I prefer the buys. I don't like shorting based on monthly scans, because even a bear market's going to last whatever 8 or 10 months, sometimes a bit more, sometimes less. So the odds of shorting that on the monthly chart aren't great. You'd rather want to look at a daily or maybe weekly chart for shorting in a bear market. Okay, so that's just some of the Dow Theory the Dow Theory scans here on the monthly chart. Let's look at maybe one of the other ones, key reversal bar. So, okay, only one has come up here. It's the stock ZOTUS, ZTS, as you'd say in America. And here is the key reversal bar. So that is something that applies to a bar chart. So it's meta condition. It's giving you a little diamond there to indicate that it's meta condition. And you can just see on the candlestick chart, it's a classic reversal candle, tail over there, hammer / doji, long-legged doji type reversal month. It's oversold on the monthly chart. So good chance we're going to get some kind of rally on the stock. You could then go down to a weekly chart, see how it's looking there, and apply some basic entry techniques over there. What I like, just as an aside, when you get a big move up like that, and then the small range bar, it's like just catching its breath. When it breaks out above the small range, next week, you're going to normally get like a kind of ABC move to the upside, ABCD, probably up to this 50-week moving average at about $198, currently at 171. Of course, none of these are recommendations for you to go out and buy them. I'm not taking any responsibility if the trades don't work out. This is purely for educational purposes, showing you how I use this. This I do like the setup here. You'll notice also the positive or bullish divergence on the weekly stochastic, another good sign. So good chance of some kind of relief rally for the stock. So I'm not even sure what it does, to be honest. See how it broke above that resistance line, setting up for a nice rally. And that's how we just look for these simple methods. So we're looking at reversal bars on the downside on a monthly chart. So this whole scan was done on the monthly charts. All these ones here have given reversals to the downside. Let's maybe look at, you'll notice that some of the high flying oil stocks on this chart, Chevron, ConocoPhillips. Let's just take a look at Chevron. So you can see there straight away a very classic bearish reversal month, very, very classic and decisive. So, you know, does this mean that it's the end of this magnificent run in oil stocks, which, as you probably know, has been the leading group in the US? Oil and energy stocks have been the runaway leaders for some time. But look at this massive, nasty looking reversal weekly bar there. If I put it on a candlestick chart, a very classic bearish engulfing candle, really not looking great. So just be very careful. And of course, these oil stocks were leading. In fact, I run a model portfolio in one of my newsletters where I look at 5 US stocks, and most of this year it's been oil stocks, and that portfolio has been up. Certainly, I haven't worked out the figures for the end of this month, but the end of last month it was up 30% versus the S&P down 14%. Obviously, this month it's given back some of that profit. The S&P is also down about whatever it is, 22%. But it just shows you how one can outperform if one is in the right stocks. Let's just look at ConocoPhillips, same kind of thing. Classic bearish candle there. If I put it on a bar chart, very classic. I mean, it's just a textbook reversal bar there, key reversal bar on a monthly chart. Very, very dangerous. Just be very careful if you are holding these oil stocks. You know, every dog has its day. Oil stocks have had a magnificent run. I'm not saying it's necessarily over, but could be in for more of a correction, maybe then a move up to retest the highs before it's all over. We'll wait and see, but this is looking not great at the moment. Likewise for Devon Energy, also one of the great high-flying energy oil stocks in this bull market in oil, and another nasty bearish reversal candle there. So this is a simple technique. This simple scan will find these for you. You'll notice all these ones with a 1 have met the condition for a key reversal bar. Let's take a look at some of the others. Paragon MA205 is one of my favorite scans here. Again, basically, I'm looking for an uptrend or a downtrend if I'm shorting, an uptrend, and then just a reversal, a pullback and a reversal of the uptrend. On the buy side, so let's see what's come up here. AbbVie, this again, a monthly chart. And there we have a classic uptrend, pullback and reversing back to the upside. So that looks really nice as well. AbbVie, ABBV. You know, this is all I'm looking for. Just simple, clean entries. Let me just see which advisor I've got on here. This is the Paragon 205 expert advisor. So, you know, if one's familiar with Metastock, you'll know that when one opens a chart, you can set it to open with any template that you like. And Paragon, of course, comes with all the Paragon templates where you could get it to open in a MA205 entry system chart. Every chart you open, for example, and then it'll label whenever the signals are given. What I like to do when I get a signal like this is to enter when it breaks the high of that reversal bar. And again, this could be on any time frame. I use this intraday. I use it I like using it on an end of week chart. On the weekends, I'll run the scan and I'll get a good idea if there's a nice signal of what's going to happen in that coming week. But I like to do it at the end of each month as well, because then I get an idea of a bigger move coming. Now, for example, just a little tip on the side, you'll notice there was a buy signal. So this is why I wait for it to take out the high of that bar, which it never did. So one would have not got caught up in that signal. This one I'll have to see. There might have been a a false trade there, and that's why I'll have to just check closely, but that's why one always has to have stop losses. Here was a sell signal, but it never took out the low, which is a necessary component of the method. You want to see it take out the high or the low. There was a nice buy over there, and took out the high of that reversal bar, that signal bar there, and there was a massive run over there from $63 to its very high at about 125. So that's a double over there. Again, this is a monthly chart, so that took about a year. But really, the big money is made on the big swings. In my experience, that's the only way to really catch these big swings, is on a monthly chart or on a weekly chart. Okay, let's look at, what else do we have here? Let's see some of the sells, anything that's come up here. Fidelity National. Okay, again, I won't really use the shorting on the higher time frames, but you'll notice here, let me just make sure which expert advisor we've got on here. I think it's also the 205, 205 entry system. You'll see here how it's labeled the buys all the way up. It's caught these swings very nicely when the market was trending, and that's when it gives you the signals, when it's trending. Just these simple signals. Not everyone's going to work. You can see there was one there that come down, and then we got one that gave a run. That one never took out the high, so you wouldn't have acted on that. But you can see here it's labeled the sell signal that it's just given based on the scan here, and it pops up a window when that happens. So it's given you that sell signal there. More than likely some move to the downside. You could then go to a daily chart and look at shorting the stock, getting an entry on the daily chart. FIS, Fidelity. Okay, so to some of the ways that I'm using this method, let's see what else. Euro, Swiss, one of the currencies, etc. And let's just put this on a bar chart, a candle chart, and this is given a signal as well. So what I would do then is just go to the expert advisor, put on the MA205 entry, and it labels it for you. Okay, so you can see it's done a pretty good job here. That one wouldn't have worked out, although it did have an initial run. Don't forget, this is a monthly chart. So while that move there might not look like much on a currency, it's quite a big move. That's about, that's about, is it 2,000 pips? May well be 2,000 pips there. I'll just have to look at that in more detail. That one wasn't confirmed by its low being taken out. Here we've got one over here. So we need to take out that low on the currency. Okay, again, this is all on the monthly chart. Let's look at the Paragon and Trend Finder and Dow Theory combined. See what's come up there. Did I look at this one earlier? I can't remember. Let's just see this. Brown Foreman. So this one came up on the Dow Theory scan as well. Let me just go back to the GBP JPY and then put on the combined Trend Finder and Dow Theory. Okay, so that's, on the monthly chart, it's not going that far back. When it's pink, that shows a downtrend, blue is an uptrend. So this is starting a new uptrend, but it's only gone back about that far. I think because I'm using a 200 period moving average as part of the scan, and it's been set to only go that far, not further. So this is 200 months. I'll just have to check up how exactly it was programmed over there. But that's basically one of the ways I would compare the Trend Finder and the Dow Theory. So this is popped up a window, Dow Theory buy, and there you can see the Dow Theory buy signal on the GBP JPY on a monthly chart. Of course, you had signals all the way there earlier on. Now it's getting a bit extended, so I'd be a bit careful about going along here on the monthly because it's far from these key moving averages. Let's see if I go down to a weekly chart, what comes out there. What I'm going to do here is just put on a expert advisor. Let's see what that looks like. And I'm going to just make it a candlestick chart. Okay, so this is just a nice example to show you how the uptrends that are labeled in blue, and then also give you the Dow Theory signals in that. The downtrends would be in this purpley pink color over here. And again, these are established trends. So the normal green and red candles would be where it's sort of neutral, pink or purple downtrend, established downtrend, and blue an established uptrend. So this is a weekly chart. This is the trend finder and the Dow Theory. You could go down to a daily chart as well, and you can see it's giving you some really nice signals here. Simple stuff. We're looking for a simple, clearly established trend, in this case an uptrend, and then Dow Theory buy signals in the direction of that uptrend. This is the daily chart. Let's just go back here. Let's see if we can see the weekly chart. Okay, and we've got some signals on the short side over there. I'm not sure if these windows are blocking what you can see. These are the GoToWebinar windows. Okay, so just some nice, clear, simple stuff. Let's try something else. Let's put it on an hourly chart. Let's see what comes up there. So again, here's a nice, clearly established uptrend with buy signals all the way up on this uptrend. Okay, I mean, all these are really nice trades. That one there wouldn't have worked out. That's why one always has to have a stop loss. The reason why these worked a bit better because they occurred quite soon after a nice little pullback. That one was already after it had rallied for a while, so there's less odds of it working. There was a little mini breakout, a rally. There was a nice one, beautiful one to short there. And we've had an uptrend here, blue uptrend there as well. And it's labeled some of these Dow Theory signals for you. So this is just showing you how you can get these simple entries really on any time frame. Let's see, what else should I show you? This was all done on a monthly scan. Perhaps I'll just run a quick scan on a weekly chart, see what's coming up for this week. So I'll just go there to weekly and start the exploration. Well, while we're doing that, let me maybe just go back to the chart of Amazon and show you a few things there. Let's just find that chart now. Just find it here. Okay, so here we have Amazon on a monthly chart. We put on a weekly chart. And what I'll do is I'll put on the expert advisor of the trend finder and Dow Theory combined. Let's see what it does. So here we are, how this just shows you how it's caught this massive chunk of a move here from $33 up to approximately $85. Just a simple method. We're just looking for an established uptrend, taking some simple Dow Theory buy signals in the direction of that trend. Here it was pretty much neutral because this stock was going sideways. The uptrend established itself and there were some buy signals in the direction of that trend. Now it's established itself in a downtrend on the weekly chart, and I see it's given you a sell signal there as well based on this week, on the Dow Theory signal on this week, assuming today was Friday's close. Of course, it's Thursday's close, so we don't know where it's going to end tomorrow for the week. As things stand, it's giving you a lower high and must be a slightly fractionally lower low over there. So yeah, about 20 cents below that low. So pick that up and it's giving you that lower high, lower low Dow Theory signal. You know, there's really no need to try and reinvent the wheel. We're just looking for simple methods here, and simple works best. I mean, how many people caught this run from there to there, 93 up to 172? That's almost a double in about 6 months. This one over here, we mentioned that was, what did we say, from 33 odd up to, 93. I mean, that's like almost trebling 300%. Okay, it was in about 2.5, 3 years, but how many people get 300% in 3 years? Not too many, with very little effort, by the way. This is a weekly chart, so you really only just need to look at it once a week. And you could take these in. I'm not saying that you would have caught the whole run, although if you would have used just the trend finder alone, the blue candles, then you would have caught it from there up to there. But even on these signals here, you can hold it for a few bars, use a type trend line as an exit, use a close below a moving average, like a 5-period or a 10-period moving average, just to lock in your profit. And you can just see you're going to make money on the vast majority of these signals, if not, 80% odd of these signals, when it's done correctly in the direction of the trend. So really just keep it simple. The whole challenge of trading is not being the cleverest guy by finding the cleverest entry signal or the cleverest exit signal. The whole challenge of trading is managing the emotional side of trading, and that anyone who's been trading for any significant amount of time will tell you, and then I'm sure you know already, even if you've been trading for a week or two, you know that trading is about managing those emotions that just come flooding in suddenly once real money's on the line. So that's really what separates the men from the boys, so to speak. Perhaps I shouldn't use that term in today's, politically correct woke society, but you know what I mean. So that's really what separates the people that make money in the market from those who don't. Are those that can manage their emotions correctly. But in terms of the actual method of trading, you just want a simple entry method and a simple exit method. That's all you want. From then on, it's all about managing the psychological side. So this toolkit really just gives you many of those simple entry techniques. It does focus more on the entries though than the exits, although in the system testing, there are options of testing with different types of exits to see which give you the best type of end result. But really the exits, just keep it simple, a trend line break, a short-term moving average break. When I say short-term, on whatever time frame, if it's a weekly chart, 5-week, 8-week, 10-week moving average, something like that. Let's put on the 5 period here on a weekly chart. You know, once you're in a trade, a close below it, this 5 period would have caught this trend all the way from 94 up till the 157 in about 4 months or so. So just keep it simple like that. Simple entries and exits. That really is the way to make money, and then spend 90% of your time working on the emotional side of trading, because that's really where the bottom line comes from. You can see here, just use simple entry, simple exits like a close below that 5 or 8 period moving average, and you're going to really make money on these signals. And you'll see the beauty of this is that being that this is a weekly chart, so you only really need to look at it at the end of each week or the beginning of each week to get your signals. Yeah, if I go down to a daily chart, some nice short-term trades here as well. So, and of course on the pink side, the purple side, you got shorts coming down here as well. So that's really what I wanted to show you, just some real simple entry and exit methods based on these scans. I've done it mostly on the higher time frames purely because we are at the end of the month. I'm just trying to think here, did I run a scan here on the weekly chart before I got sidetracked? I think I did, yeah, Sarah. That's right, I just digressed to show you that chart of Amazon and then got a bit further digressed. But I was running in the meantime the scan on the weeklies, these Paragon scans. And again, we can see what comes out. We can start with the Dow Theory. The buyers are these ones here, a few of the currencies. PLN, which is the Polish zloty. It's not one of the majors, obviously, but it's quite an actively traded currency. You'll notice this is a weekly chart. Buy signals there in the blue trend. Let's see what else. The US dollar, the UUP, which is the ETF for the US dollar index. Let me just see which expert is on here right now. This is the reversal bar one. Okay, so let me just put on, say, the trend finder and Dow Theory. And there you've got the blue, which is an uptrend, make a candlesticks. And you've got buyers in the uptrend, shorts in the downtrend. A lot of nice buys in this uptrend over here on the dollar index. So that's on the buy side. On the sell side, a lot of ones over here meeting the criteria. A lot of ones. Sure, just a lot of the well-known names. Some of the former high flyers, which, as we know, have been hammered in the spare market. Let's look at Peloton. Okay, it's just a classic case study in trends, basically uptrends firstly and then downtrends. So let me I can put on any of these really. I mean, they're all going to work nicely. I'll put on that trend finder and Dow Theory for some reason. To see what the problem is there. I'm not sure why that's not coming on. Let's try one of the other ones. This is the MA205 entry on the weekly chart. of Peloton. So you can see these signals here. There was a buy signal, but never took out the high, so you wouldn't have acted on that. Here was another one. Nice big move over there. Another one there that didn't take out the high. That's why that's essential. Look at that nice short. That was at $54. It's now trading, by the way, at $9.18 at close today. Nice classic short over there on the weekly chart. So yeah, you know, there are a lot of signals that come up. You want to just visually go through them and find the best ones on whichever time frame you're looking at. It works, you know, they work nicely, and that's really why I use them. They're simple and effective. Let's see here. I'll just look at this one quickly, then I'll maybe take some questions. Paragon key reversal bar. Let's look at Bristol Myers. Let's see what that's looking like. That's at a high. A high means that it's going to be a reversal to the downside. And I'll just make that a bar chart because the key reversals are a bar chart. And there we have a classic key reversal bar so far for this week. Interesting that we had a breakout here of a little channel, well, a 3 month channel on the weekly chart. Failed breakout is now reversing horribly down. So pending tomorrow's close, Friday's close, we're going to have a classic reversal week down, and it will have caught a lot of people that bought on the breakout are now going to have to scramble to close those long positions, which will probably send us down further. And again, that's how we look for this. Merck, another stock in the same pharmaceutical sector, classic shooting star candle there. Let's just put it on a bar chart, key reversal bar over there as well. And you'll notice I like the fact that it took out this high here and reversed soon after that. So that caught people there on the long side, a bull trap. And if it closes around these levels tomorrow or a bit weaker, good chance that we're going to get some downside there for shorting next week. Okay, so I think let's leave it at that for now. If there are any questions, please feel free to ask. Bobby, I don't know if you want to take over and see someone. There is a question there. Someone has asked, where are the stops? So you'll see in the Paragon Toolkit, I do discuss different stop options for stops. But I have mentioned some of them here while we were talking about it. You'll notice the stock, just by the way, triggered a 205 buy signal. It pops up a window. And likewise Fidelity, let me just skip those. So I haven't programmed in stops. There I've given you advice on what I believe are the best types of stops to use, and it will be basically things like those moving averages or a trend line. Just keep it simple. Don't try and get clever. Don't try and get fancy. Just keep it simple, because that is literally what works best. Yeah, there is human nature to try and complicate things, but it just doesn't work in the stock market. It backfires in the stock market. Just keep it simple. Sometimes people that are very analytically minded get disappointed when I show them these simple methods because they want something really meaty to try and get their minds stuck into the analytical minds to really try and feel like they're working their minds. But if you want to work your mind, rather go and do a Sudoku or something like that. In the market, you're doing this because you want to make money, and that's the only reason you're doing this or should be doing it, not for mental stimulation. And keeping it simple is the way to do that. Okay, are there any other questions here? I'm not quite seeing them showing up. If there are any other questions, do let me know or feel free to ask them now. Otherwise, I'll just show you one thing here, by the way, in the system tester while we're at it, is that some of the Paragon systems that one can test for will look at various types of exits. Okay, and as mentioned in the commentary on each of the expert advisors for each of these scans and systems, I give you ideas on exits. Excuse me, and this is a way of actually scanning to see how well those exits did combine with the entry system of the entry technique and the system. So a lot of these are for the MA205 entry. The others, key reversal, Dow Theory, etc. There are different exit options in these system tests. Okay, I think let's leave it at that. Bobby, I'm going to hand over to you. If there's anything you wanted to add, please feel free to do so. And if there are any other questions that anyone wants to ask, feel free to do that as well.
Yeah, I see a couple of thank yous coming in, but I don't see any other questions. Yeah, I'll say thank you as well. Great job. I love, how much time you actually spend in Metastock, kind of showing everything and how clear really everything shows up when you go through it. So I think it's a really good system, and I'm glad we were able to work with you to get it added into Metastock.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you for that.
I have just a few slides I can go ahead and show and kind of talk about, and we wanted to do a special offer, so I can take over from here and end off with that. But yeah, thanks again.
Thanks, Bobby. Thanks, everyone, for attending.
Of course. Let's see. All right, I think we should have my screen pulled up now, everyone. Yeah, and if you have any other questions, feel free to send them in. If I don't have an answer, I can always reach back out to Colin, or you can reach out to our team as well. I was planning on spending a little bit of time inside of Metastock, but luckily Colin kind of did that for us and showed you, just how easy it is to work with his system and to go through Metastock, and just to kind of touch on all the different things that are included. I wanted to just review those in our slide real quick before we end things off. So it does come with 6 explorations or scans for actually looking for the different signals and things throughout the trading strategy. It has 6 expert advisors that you can attach to your chart that are going to put those actual signals right on your chart for you and provide you with expert commentary as well. It comes with templates for those, the system test as well, which some of these test incredibly well. He was talking about, how there are multiple different ways of being able to exit the trade, and you can really identify one that works best for you. But as he said, you want to always keep those simple, but the testing with the programmed in exits and things works incredibly well inside of the software. So I definitely recommend checking that out. And one of the best things too about this add-on is, he only had so much time today to go through what he was able to go through in an hour, but we actually have a 6-module training course that we did with him, where you can go through and get step-by-step instructions on how to utilize everything and how to use it properly. And I think that's one of the most important things, is really being able to understand the trading system that you're using. And Colin does a really good job in that training that he put together with us of showing you all of that. So definitely something worth checking out, and that is included with the Paragon system. You can see all the different methods up on your screen right now. Just to go through them really quickly, we have the Dow Theory line chart, one of the most popular methods in here that you saw quite a bit. You have the Trend Finder 1.2, a combination of those as well. He also has the Paragon Moving Average 205 entry system, the weekly buy setups, and I do really like the weekly setup system that he has in there as well, just because I don't find myself trading quite as often, and I like to use the weekly when I can, or at least for confirmations. Here's the 6 sessions that come with that training class that I was talking about earlier. And oftentimes when we have training courses like this, we charge several $100s additional, or even thousands of dollars extra to get all this in-depth training. And we're including that with the Paragon Toolkit that's available inside of Metastock. Oh, looks like we're going through everything here. And the retail price for this, if you just went on our website on any given day, would be $6.99, but we are going to do a special and give you guys $100 off right now for attending the webinar. And this is going to include the full add-on with all the templates, all your scans, everything you need to be able to, scan the markets and do all of your trading analysis, plus the training course. And if you need it, we'll give you a trial of Metastock as well. And you can sign up for that by simply joining our chat room. I think might be the easiest way. If you have further questions, just metastock.com/sales chat, or call in 1-800-882-3040. Or we also have it orderable with the special right now on our website for a limited time, metastock.com/CAbramsA. I'll go ahead and just leave that on the screen for just a little bit so you guys can type in the URL or pull out your phones and give them a call. We do have sales guys available right now that can help answer any other questions or help you to order the toolkit with the current discount. And it's extremely low risk. You know, you get a money back guarantee on Paragon, plus you're getting the discount here, and we'll give you a trial of Metastock. So if you want to try it out or learn more or go through the training, go ahead and reach out and we'd be happy to help you with that. Thanks everyone again for attending. If you're still watching now and you haven't quite hit that like and subscribe button, it helps us out quite a bit. It helps us get in front of more people and share these strategies with more people. So definitely be sure to give it a like. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach back out to us as well. And we're happy to review things even further. But everyone have a good rest of your night or morning, depending on where it is that you may be. Thanks everyone.
Thanks, Bobby. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.